Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Sounds of the Diaspora, Artist to Artist, a conversation with yours truly, Dion Parson. It gives me great pleasure to welcome our guest to the show this evening, someone that, my brother, we share the same birthday. We've known each other for many years, and he's an amazing musician, extraordinary human being, someone that I admire, and I'm just really grateful that he took the time out of his schedule to join us on the show today. So join me in welcoming the one and only Mr. Bruce Williams to the show.
Thank you, Dion. Thank you.
Hey, how you doing today, bro?
Yeah, man. Good to see you. Everything's all right.
Everything's all right? Okay.
Yeah.
In New Jersey, man, how's the weather today?
Sunny and 50 degrees. Probably go back down to like 19 overnight, but right now we'll take the sun and we'll take a lighter jacket.
I hear you. So it's starting to warm up. That's good. It's a big shift from last week. So that's
goodness.
good. I hear you, man. But everything else is good with you, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I can't complain, man. Everything is moving forward in life.
That's good, man. Well, Bruce, I know we've been talking from last year, man, 2024, to get you on the show. And your schedule, I mean, you're super busy, man, with your music and all your extracurricular activities. We're just happy that you're able to come and join us. So, saxophone, composer, arranger, I mean, you got it all going on, man. How do you balance all of this stuff, and how do you keep it all together?
Getting up early, use my phone for schedules.
So you don't have a secretary, huh? You just kind of.
I have a very, very part-time personal assistant, like a very, very part-time, like occasional. And for the most part, it's just have to juggle it all by myself.
Right, I hear you. So you're teaching, you're performing, you're into martial arts, you have a lot going on. But before we jump into, Bruce Williams today, let's talk about how did you get started in the music field growing up in DC?
Well, my brother Anthony was a tenor saxophone player. And then my Aunt May played piano, organ, guitar, and harmonica, and we'll play hymns on harmonica and stuff. And my Uncle John played trumpet, and so I would hear that stuff going on. And the other side of the family were a lot of singers. I was just recently told that my mother's grandfather was like a boogie woogie piano playing organist way back in the day.
Okay,
so it's in the blood in some kind of way. It's there,
right?
But it was initially my brother Anthony playing saxophone.
Okay, so you started in the public school system, like growing up,
I started in. I wanted to start in 4th grade, but I foolishly said no because they wanted me to play the clarinet, and I said I don't want to play. I want to play the saxophone, and then.
They're cousins, bro. They're cousins, man.
I end up having to play it anyway.
Yeah.
But 7th grade is when I started, like really started.
Okay.
I mean, I'd say 6th grade it really hit me again. Taking just instrumental music. I mean, music appreciation classes. You play glockenspiel and little wood blocks and all that, and then we're talking about how melody and rhythm is put together with harmony.
Right.
And the light bulb went off. I said,
Right.
oh wow, I want to do that.
Yeah. And that's, you knew from back then that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a number of musicians from DC that I know. I mean, so like when you were coming up, did you have other friends that you played with, or you just kind of did your thing in school, and then how did your relationship in the music industry start to flourish?
DC having an indigenous music called go-go. I played in a lot of go-go bands, and like they were called top 40 wedding bands and stuff like that. So I met people that way. I met people from high school to college when I went to the University of District of Columbia. And so I would meet people coming in from the suburbs or deep in the city. and we all met there, and we met at jam sessions and stuff like that. So at the time, it was a very, very tight knit community,
Right.
And so there was a lot to gain being in DC at that time. There was a lot to gain.
Right. Who were some of the musicians that you grew up playing along with?
Mark Carey, Alan Palmer.
Yeah.
I think his name is Bruce Tyler. Tracy Cutler, Kenny Dickerson, Harold Little.
Okay.
Harold Little actually is Wilbur Little's cousin. The bassist Wilbur Little. Yeah.
Yeah.
Distant cousin. But and it's other musicians just were around the city, and I was almost always one of the younger ones amongst the older ones. And then I think that helped me out a lot. Just taking cues from older musicians.
Right. Yeah. Well, you mentioned some heavyweights, some heavy names there, that made it to New York with you as well, and built a career for themselves. So DC has always been like a great, area for great musicians came out of there, and it's always been a place to go visit because there's some great clubs there, like Blues Alley's still there.
Yeah,
a couple of the spots are still there, so it's just always one of the places to go to perform and hang out. I was just recently hanging out with Herman Burney.
Yeah.
Talking with him about different stuff, possibly going there to do some things as well. So it's always been very resourceful for other musicians. I know it's on the radar of a lot of cats to like hang out. And then there's a scene in the Baltimore, Maryland area as well.
Yeah.
With some of the other venues that's there too, that's fostering the music as well. So it's always been a really rich environment.
Yeah, now they call it the DMV. So that whole DC, Maryland, Virginia area has always had a bunch of great musicians that some didn't want to go to New York.
Right.
And many, kind of didn't have to. They made a living there.
Yeah.
And so I think it's starting to build up again. It's bubbling up again.
Right.
And so many of us have left and gone on to New York or other states and played with various people. I know Sean Jones is in Baltimore and leading the whole department at Peabody. Doing a fantastic job over there. And my homeboy Alan Johnson over at UDC took over for the great Calvin Jones. So the city and the outer parts of the area are doing well with young musicians coming up wanting to play.
Right. And Gary Bartz lived there for many, many years in the
Maryland
area. From Baltimore, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then Nassar Abede, my good friend, one of my mentors, he's down there. He never left, right? He's always been there.
Well, he's from Buffalo, but when he got down there, he stayed.
Yeah. So Yep. So I was just speaking to him a couple of weeks ago. So, is you could, like, people say, yeah, man, New York is this place and New Orleans is this place, little, as it known that Maryland, DC, that DMV area, as you call it, has been a really, really rich musical, spot for a bunch of cats.
And we can't forget that that's where Duke Ellington is from.
There you go.
So you made the group the Washingtonians. So, we cannot forget Duke Ellington. Nobody trumps Duke Ellington.
Yep.
I spent a lot of years playing in various bands of Roy Hargrove's. And he picked more musicians from the DMV than any area in the nation.
There you go.
I mean,
Antonio Hart was in a band.
Hart, myself, Mark Carey, Alan Palmer, Salim, Quincy Phillips, Larry Willis ended up settling there, so Larry was there. Even Steve Williams played a couple hits. Mike Bowie. I mean, there's a few more. Jason Marshall. So there it is.
There you go. It's beautiful, man. Beautiful. So I mean, it's really great to share this history, with our audience, because a lot of times people, they just don't know, and that's why you're here to. Yeah, I know you're gonna bring it. So you moved to, when did you move to the New York, Jersey area?
Between 89 and 90.
Okay.
You know,
And you always lived in Jersey though, right?
Yeah, I did not like living in New York City.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to keep my car. Yeah. So I knew that I could run through the Lincoln or the Holland Tunnel and go back and forth. At the time, it was very cheap.
Yeah.
Like the toll was like $3. So I was like, okay, cool. Bye. You know, food was cheap, everything was cheap. It didn't make a difference to me. The benefit was that at the time, my lady, which is now my wife, she's from New York. So I had enough New York at home. You know.
I hear you. But the car was an issue, man. I mean, I remember waking up many mornings, man, not even going to sleep, just running out to do the alternate side parking, and the ticket is already in the car.
Right.
So that became an issue, man. But you did the right thing. So in New Jersey, you know, it's funny. I went to Rutgers, and I knew, like, you know, in New Brunswick there was a music scene, but it was always like a William Patterson scene, and that Newark, Montclair, that was fostering another scene, and which is really very vibrant these days, man. And you know, there's a bunch of cats living in that area. And I know Cecil Brooks III had a club, and that became another spot. But you know, and your name was just, you know, everywhere, all over Jersey, to the point that, you know, you hold down a couple educational positions in there, but just playing, you were just playing everywhere, man. Can you share with the audience, like, how did you build, you know, your performance reputation on the scene in New Jersey?
Well, as a youngster, a young adult, I took what I did in DC and brought it to the New York, New Jersey area. I went to every session I could go to in between rehearsals and even working a part-time job. I would get off of a part-time job, go home, freshen up, eat something, and run to the city, go to a session, run to a session in Newark, run to a session in East Orange, run to a session up in Harlem, you know, run to a session in South Jersey. I just, wherever I could go, I just was going. And I went to a session probably 3-4 nights a week if I didn't have a gig.
Right.
And I mean, coming up, I went to sessions 2 to 3 times a week. You know, if I didn't have a gig, or leave a gig and go see somebody else and sit in with them. I was just in pursuit of figuring this thing out, you know, and I just didn't let up.
Yeah, that's great. Like you said, it's figuring it out. I mean, there's no real handbook to, like, getting out there. Everybody have a different path, but the jam session is definitely a major part of it. No, you can't avoid that. You have to. Everybody have to do that at some point.
No, and I never really wanted to just play with people only my age, or just play with people at whatever school I went to. I was little did I know I was chasing a sound.
Right.
You know, I kind of figured that out later, that I was chasing a sound, and I found it kind of often, and so that kind of made it so I could, like, chase that sound some more. Always was in pursuit of that sound. There was a session in Newark. I would play with Eddie Gladden often. You know, drummers used to play with Dexter Gordon. I would play with Eddie often. I did gigs with Eddie Gladden. You know, and I would play with this drummer Don Williams, that played with the great Jimmy McGriff. At another session, in Radham Schwartz, and guitarist named Gary Moore. And I remember Don saying that Hank Crawford and McGriff were kind of on the outs. And so he said, be at the session at such and such time, because McGriff is coming. He's looking for a horn player. So if I was supposed to be there at 8, I was there at 7:40. You know, and for a young guy, that's rough, because, you know, sometimes we're not on time, but we have to be on time. So I'm up there playing, and next thing you know, McGriff says, hey, young man, come here. I go and sit next to him at the bar, and he's talking to me and asked me, did I want to go on tour? You know, so that kind of thing happened to me several times from the New Jersey area, you know, from that scene. I remember going to a house party. This guy named Rick G had these house parties over in like South Orange, Maplewood area. I run downstairs in the basement. I get up on stage. I'm playing. And I didn't know my wife was sitting next to little Jimmy Scott.
Okay.
And then I sit next to him and he starts to introduce himself. Man, I know you. What? Jimmy Scott? What? You know. He asked me that I wanted to go and play a 2-week engagement with him at Tavern on the Green.
Okay.
And that lasted for 5 years. You know, I'm at William Patterson. We're doing the music of Stanley Cowell.
Mm-hmm.
And Stanley comes and he eventually plays with our ensemble. Now, I had met Stanley once before, but it was kind of in passing. As a freshman at UDC, I met him. Mm-hmm. So I left UDC. I went to William Patterson. We're doing his music. And at the end of the thing, you know, he was complimentary. He said, if you ever need somebody, I love the opportunity again. I know I'm not Steve Coleman because Steve Coleman is on the recording that we were learning from. So, but I love the opportunity to play with you some more, learn some more, because this was challenging. I enjoyed this. He looked up, smiled, said, "Okay, all right." Next thing you know, I get the call, and that was 21 years old until he passed. We had a relationship. He was like a father figure.
Yeah.
You know,
he was special. He was special. I studied with him my master's at Rutgers. Yeah.
So I did 3 records with Stanley, and I'm still in touch with his daughter, and I have a couple of his keyboards, and you know, it's like very special person to me. And you know, a very similar thing like that happened playing with Frank Foster.
Okay.
Where Branford was married to a woman named Tess. Branford Marsalis was married to, I think her last name was Reese, Teresa Reese. We called her Tess. She had a band called the Swing Daddies, and we would play at the old Iridium across the street from Lincoln Center.
Where is the 63rd Street?
Yes, underneath the
Empire Hotel. Yeah, the basement of Empire Hotel.
Exactly.
Yep, yeah.
And Frank Foster wrote most of the arrangements.
Okay.
And so he called me to play with his band he was putting back together, the Loud Minority. Well, we never got to play because it got rained out. So as he's paying us, I said, I love the opportunity to try to do this again. I appreciate you calling me. You know, thank you. He looked up, he smiled, he said, okay. He calls me like a couple of weeks later. Rehearsal, sit down. I'm playing lead alto with him for 15 years.
Wow.
so he raised me as another musical father.
Yeah.
You know, I feel I've been very fortunate, like kind of when I moved up here, just telling people I wanted to get better. I wanted to learn. I wanted an opportunity. Because sometimes you can't really just wait for opportunities to knock. Sometimes they're fleeting, you know. And you need to approach situations humbly, but still knowing that you know you want to be a part of this thing.
Right, but you put yourself out there, so you put yourself in that space where people can actually check you out, and you made yourself available. Do you think those opportunities, like what you just described, still exist today for upcoming young person, you know, trying to pursue this music?
I think there's fewer opportunities like that, but I mean, some of my students have asked me about recording, and is it too soon? Excuse me, and I'm like, well, you can't wait to play with this one and that one to record and put your stuff out, because who are you going to play with?
Right.
Who's going to mentor you? So you may as well prepare your music, maybe have somebody like review it, help you produce it, and just put it out yourself. Because I had the opportunity of playing with all these kinds of people and being coached and mentored by people at a young age. You know, those kind of elders are not like we've become like elder statesmen in the music, and we're just not not quite revered in the same way as we probably should be, based on whose time it is to come up next.
Right.
You know, for the people we've worked with, we have a certain kind of musical and emotional and spiritual information that you can't pay for.
Right.
So, but these kids don't have that opportunity.
They don't have that opportunity. Mentoring is a major thing, man. I remember having a conversation with AT, Arthur Taylor, and he used to call it apprenticeship.
Yeah.
He said when he was coming up, there was a big thing about apprenticeship where young musicians would come on the scene and the older cast would check them out and say, okay, he should play with that band for a couple of years and get this together, then he can go to that band. And that's kind of like the discussions the musicians had among themselves. And they kind of controlled that scene because, again, there was a lot of opportunities back then, but not that many musicians.
Right.
And, when you and I came up, school was the thing. You went to school and you started to, hone your skills, but there was still a scene. There was a number of venues, a number of clubs. Harlem had all of these organ joints, Showman's and St. Nick's Pub, and all of these spots. La Famille, yeah, and you could go to all of these spots and in Harlem, you had Newark had Peppermint Lounge, all of these spots that you can go and make your round. Like you said, you was going to 2-3 sessions a night. And that's what we did. We came to town and we just, we were hung out till sunrise and went from session to session, chasing, like you say, the sound or the information from one of the older cats and getting to know them. And that don't exist anymore. I mean, it's hard. It's for these young cats to go to a club. If they don't have $50 in their pocket, they're not getting in. Whereas we would walk up with our instrument and they would just be, oh yeah, these are the young cats, man. Put them in the back and let them check out the music. It was even from the club situation, there was appreciation to allow the young talent to be part of the scene as well. So a lot of things have changed, but that mentoring that you're talking about definitely has changed. There's not that many opportunities.
No, and there's one such club that I won't mention that some students of mine at Montclair State University were kind of like, we just can't afford to spend that amount of money every week for a session.
Right.
And I know the position that club owners are in to try to keep the doors open. I'm very sympathetic, to that. But at the same time, there won't be musicians to come into your club to play there if they don't get an opportunity to learn how to do it.
Right. But if you're charging them to come and learn at the same time, like it's a session and you gotta pay $20 at the door and still have a 2-drink minimum, and they come in to get on stage to play for free, is it's a tricky balance, man. But you've done a good job with your students, man. You at Juilliard teaching. Where are the institutions? Where do you teach? Where are you teaching these?
I'm at the Juilliard School in the jazz department. Soon to be 10 years. Okay. I'm at Montclair State University, soon to be, I think, 4 years. I taught at Bard College for 12 years. I did a year at Princeton. Many years now for Jazz House Kids. Under direction, as you know, of Christian McBride, Melissa Walker, a great grassroots organization that's doing amazing things with kids. And I taught for several years at NJ Pack with you, 10 years or something like that, and always trying to, pass it forward, because I say to students, we want it for you more than you realize that you want it for yourself.
Yeah. I'm laughing because I was just having a conversation with one of my students, man. He went and did this performance and his attire wasn't the best. And I said, and the folks sent me a video, said, man, he sounded good. He was, he was cool. He could talk to people. But man, what is he wearing? And I was like, I said to him, I said, man, we've had this conversation. Why would you go in? I said, man, it's hurtful when people, hit me up and said, it was good, but.
Right.
And so, I was just having this conversation with a kid. Like, you want it so, so bad for them because where they can go.
Right.
But, sometimes they don't see it for themselves as yet.
Well, the whole ideology of I know, and it's my time, my opinion, my generation, my me, my. It doesn't really work within a tradition that's been long standing and patented. It's been stamped already, like how things are done.
Right.
You know, you can't just walk in and change the whole, cultural lexicon just because you want to. Now you can, but I don't know how long it's going to attach itself to the greater picture.
Right.
I mean, and I think everybody has a right to do what they want to do, but within a certain framework, there is tradition. Like,
Right.
like you go to an office building and they say, casual Fridays. That means that day. It doesn't mean every day.
Exactly. Yeah. What I say, man, look, it's simple. Learn the rules, then you can break the rules.
Right.
And then when you start breaking the rules, at least cats will know you have learned the rules, because when they have a conversation with you, they know where you're coming from. If you don't know the rules and you just out there breaking the rules,
right,
a lot of times you're not making sense, man. So it's that's the way I put it to my students, or even even some colleagues too, man, because you never know, So it's a beautiful thing, but you not only as representing yourself as a great educator, but folks you've played with. You mentioned a couple of them, some of the great drummers. But you've been out here with some great bands. You mentioned Frank Foster, but you've also toured and recorded with some great musicians as well. You want to share some of that with us?
Yeah, I mean, been on the road a bit with Steve Turay, Stanley Cowell, Roy Hargrove. Man, I hate to start scratching. Cecil Brooks III for many years. Gigs with Ralph Peterson.
Ralph, yeah.
I've now would sub with Ralph for Steve Wilson for certain little things. And I would sub for Joe Ford with Jerry Gonzalez and the Fort Apache Band.
So I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm an honorary Apache from what.
Okay. That's a big honor.
Yeah. And Buster Williams. I work with Buster fairly often. It's really more or less Steve Wilson's gig, but if there's 100 gigs, I tell you, I do like 90 of them.
Okay.
At this point, I'm on Buster's latest record called Unalome. This trumpet player that I'm working with now named Ted Chubb and Josh Evans, Freddie Hendricks. I'm on records by these different people. Oh, Vanessa Rubin. I guess it's her last record. I'm on her last record, a tribute to Tad Dameron.
World Saxophone Quartet also.
Yeah, the World Saxophone Quartet. I'm on 2 WSQ records, Oliver Lake Big Band.
Nice.
Charles Tolliver Groups, his big band. I mean, a lot of people, kind of diverse,
Yeah, very diverse. Yeah, I mean, it's a list like, who's who in jazz, man. And then you really put yourself out there, man. It's great, man. And thanks for sharing that with us. But not only as a great sideman, as an educator, but as a leader as well. You've put out some CDs and been representing with your own group.
Yeah, I mean, I have 4 CDs as a leader, and I've got like 3 in the can that I've never put out. I'm thinking about this summer just releasing them on Bandcamp. Just put them out as digital medium. And because it's time for some sounds to be out there. One of which, or 2 of which, actually has a homeboy of mine that passed away during COVID. We call him Kingfish, Howard Kingfish Franklin Jr., Howard Franklin Jr. on drums. We grew up together since we were 12 years old. And, he passed during COVID, and I would like to put out some other music that he's been on, a different drumming perspective and stuff that we've done, and just respect to the whole thing. One of which the whole band, well, two recordings, the whole band is just DC cats.
Okay.
And
okay.
I'm proud of them.
Well, you shared some music with us, and I want to get into some of that so our audience can, we're talking about all the great things you're doing, but they're probably like saying, "Oh man, let's hear this music." So let's jump into some of the music you shared with us, because I'm enjoying it, man. I have the best seat in the house. I get to check all this stuff out before it hits the air.
Yeah.
So the first song you shared with us is Old Forester. Just tell us about that song real quick.
So Old Forester is on my record called Private Thoughts. And not to be dark, but private thoughts is like the thoughts that someone has that are extremely contemplative but a little bit dark when someone's trying to talk about taking their own life. So the whole record is about my father's transition from living to not being living. And my growing up dealing with that and the things about him. So Old Forester is the bourbon he used to drink. And I would hear a glass with ice to the top shaking across the house, and you'd hear, because the ice and the bourbon and the ginger ale is too high, and he doesn't want to spill it. So he's trying to
slurp it down.
He slurp it down so he can get the ice to melt a little bit, to drink it. So that was his thing, bourbon and ginger ale, and it was Old Forester. The brand of bourbon that he would drink. Like all the bourbon connoisseurs, y'all know Old Forester. And so it's about that. And he like westerns and sometimes a little country stuff. He's from Virginia. So that's why I put the thing together like that. It's about every time you hear the bop, bop, that's that I would hear. So I placed 2 hits on various songs throughout the record because of that.
For him slurping on his bourbon. Okay. All right. Well, let's check it out.
It's a party.
Okay.
It's a party. It's not dark. It's a party.
Yeah. Definitely. Let's check it out.
He wasn't a mean drinker. He just was a drinker. He
was just a drinker. Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Old Forester.
Yeah.
Funky, funky, funky. Those are two hits.
Yeah.
I hear you. Hey, who's on that recording?
That's Brad Williams on guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And Freddie Hendrix on trumpet, Vince Ector on drums, Chris Berger on bass. Who am I forgetting? Brandon McCune on piano. Yeah. On that cut.
Old
Yeah.
Jersey crew.
Yeah, and Brad is out now playing with is it Nate Smith or is it Nate Jones? I think Nate Smith, the drummer. And the singer Brittany Howard.
Okay.
He's out in LA. He's doing very well. Brad is a very versatile player.
Mm-hmm.
You know, very, very versatile player. And I told him, like, if I said, look, I want this kind of style, okay. He brings another guitar out and the right pedals and the right tuning, and he gives me what I want. I said, I want some funk like Paul Jackson Jr. Okay. I want some country like that. Okay, I want some, some Grant Green. Okay, he knows exactly what I'm looking for.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. It's good to have those type of cats in your life that can just, bring it. It's great, man.
Great.
I like that. That's like that old school organ kind of funky,
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I hear it. Beautiful stuff, man. Great music, man. Well, let's keep going. You shared another song that's really is beautiful. I enjoyed listening to this. This is The Last Visit in the Mirror.
Yeah, A Last Visit in the Mirror is. I don't know if people believe in like metaphysics and things like that, but I hadn't. My father had passed and been gone for a while, and I had a new son. My son Elijah was just a little baby. Mm-hmm. And I came home one night. He was in the crib. My wife was asleep. And I went in the bathroom. I was washing my face, getting ready for bed. And I looked up, and there my dad was in the mirror with me. So the two of us were there. I wasn't thinking about him at all. But two people were in the mirror, me and him. Okay. And I was so angry. I started cussing and yelling and everything. So I know the neighbors thought I was losing my mind, and that's the last time I actually saw him.
Okay.
Like in the spiritual kind of way. I used to see him all the time, but that was the last time I saw him.
Okay.
That way,
Right.
So it was about that moment.
Okay. Well, let's check it out. The Last Visit in the Mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce. Yeah, man. The Last Visit in the Mirror.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
So it's kind of inspired by the motivic development that Wayne Shorter used in Anna Maria.
Okay.
There's a melody, then an slightly altered melody moving through the change, and the motif is nearly the same, but not quite, you know. So that was an inspiration, like how that came to be in terms of writing.
Okay. And that's the same personnel, or that's a different personnel?
No, same band. Chris Berger, Vince Ector, Brandon McCune, myself. Yeah.
Great. Man, thanks for sharing that beautiful story with your father, man. Not too many people can have those spiritual, how should I say, encounters. But yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Thank you. And it's reflected in the music.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So your son's name is Elijah, right?
Elijah.
So you wrote a composition for him, and this is called Elijah's Blues.
Yeah, Elijah Blue, man. Oh my God, this guy's 28 now. He doesn't live here anymore. In a way, thankfully, he's grown up. He's a sous chef.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I'm glad he's found his way doing that. He enjoys doing that. He loves food. He loves the whole process, different flavors and sauces and textures and stuff like that. So it's really worked out for him. But
food and music goes hand in hand. I know a number of musicians that love to cook.
Yeah.
Including myself.
Amin Salim, the bass player, he played with Roy at DC. He loves to cook. Roy used to love to cook.
A lot of cats, man. I remember visiting Ralph Peterson one time, man, and Ralph went in the kitchen and cooked up a meal that.
Yeah, right.
I'm still talking about it.
I got sick on the road one time. I don't know what it was. It was like a 24-hour, 32-hour stomach something just tore me up. And the first food I had on that run, and it tastes, I still can remember it, was Roy Hargrove fried some honey fried chicken that he made while we were hanging out at a vineyard. He went in the kitchen and cooked it. It's still some of the baddest chicken. I mean, my mama can cook.
Yeah.
My wife can cook. But I was like, woo.
Yeah, man. Yeah, some cats can cook. When Ron Blake and I was roommates in New York, man, we kept a pot on the stove.
That's right.
Yeah, there was always food, man. Yeah, anyway, but I'm going back to Elijah. He's a sous chef, so you wrote this song for him.
He's a mischievous little dude, and this is tons of motifs and inspiration from listening to the greats, and with stuff we call contrafacts.
Right.
You write a melody based on another song. So this is based on Bessie's Blues.
Okay, let's check it out. Bruce Williams, Elijah Blues. Hey, that's Elijah Blues, man. That's Bruce Williams tribute to his son.
Yeah.
Beautiful song. Thank you for sharing that, man.
Thank you for the time we're having here.
Yeah, man. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, Bruce. I know again it took us a while to get to this point, and we're here. So we appreciate everything you shared with us,
Yeah.
all the insight into who you are and your family, and Old Forester and all that good stuff. And the music,
when you
man.
play a gig and you look on that back of that bar and you see, you're like, ha, there's Bruce's daddy.
There you go. There you go. Bruce's daddy, man. Beautiful stuff, man. Well, man, we just want to thank you again for taking the time out to join us on the show. But before you go, share with us how can our audience follow you?
I'm pretty busy on social media, like Instagram.
Okay.
Big Solid 11. That's a
Big
nickname.
Solid 11. Oh, let me write that
people
down.
call me Solid or Big Solid. So Big Solid 11. 11 is because I'm the 11th of June. So Big Solid 11. That's my birthday. So
So if you Big Solid 11, then what? I got to come up with an 11 name too. Then
right.
Nah, man. But what are you doing for your birthday this year?
There's a tour I'm supposed to be going on. I'm not going to mention with who.
Okay.
Because I'm waiting for the contract. But I think I'll be gone for my birthday. And
okay.
A lot of times I play at Smalls. I just book a gig and play down there and have the audience sing happy birthday to me.
Okay. We got to do a birthday celebration.
I know, man. We got to do that. We were supposed to put together that Gemini band.
I know, and with Berno, and because he was the 10th. We spent Berno and I spent many years. We would find some session and play, like leaving his birthday on the 10th into our birthday on the 11th.
Right.
We did that for many years. That was our thing, man. But we got to figure it out. I know you'll be on tour this summer, but we'll sit down and plan a June 11th Gemini thing.
Yeah, at least reach out to each other either way. You know how it is.
Definitely. And there's a couple other Geminis, June 11th too. We could talk about that offline, but there's a couple other folks we can pull into this too.
Yeah, I mean, a good friend of mine, Shay Taylor, great producer, did stuff for Beyonce, Busta Rhymes. He's out in LA. He's June 11th.
Okay.
A little alto player in DC named Trey Sorrells. He's June 11th.
Okay, some folks out there, yeah. But a bunch of Geminis nonetheless. So we'll do a Gemini.
So we need a bass player and a piano player because we don't have Berno, we don't have Jerry Allen.
Yeah, we got Dan Nimmer.
Okay, let's take him.
Yeah, Dan Nimmer. Yeah, we got some cats. So we just bass player. Shawnette was the 12th. Also, Shawnette was the 11th. That's the 10th. Him and Berno was the same day.
Wow.
Yeah, both of them great bass players. But we'll talk about that offline, man. But Bruce, man, thank you so much for hanging with us at Sound of the Diaspora, man. It's been a pleasure, very informative and insightful, and thanks for sharing the music, man. And we'll circle back on about the June 11th tribute, in the future, man. So talk to you soon, okay?
Anytime you need me, I'll come down there too. Let's go.
All right. We'll make it happen. Have some fun.
All right, brother.
All right. Take care, bro.
Bye-bye.
All right. That was the one and only Bruce Williams sharing his story with us, man. We had so much fun and some insightful stuff that I didn't even know about, man. But it's been really great having him on the show. So thank you, Bruce, for joining us. Next week, we have a very special guest, interesting guest. This gentleman by the name of Peter Bailey is not a musician, but he's a journalist and a filmmaker from St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, and he's doing some amazing things, have some award-winning stuff. He did a documentary of the hurricanes that hit the Virgin Islands in 2017, Irma and Maria, and he's just doing some great stuff. So we're going to do something a little different next week, and we're going to welcome Peter Bailey to Sounds of the Diaspora to talk about his journey. So we'll see you then. All the best. Take care.